You are listening to the You Gotta Laugh podcast. With your boy Edgar Robledo.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
Welcome to the deep dive. You know, we usually talk about aging like it is just a slow motion accident.
Right, like it's just this inevitable accumulation of bad luck.
Exactly. There's this pervasive assumption that you just catch a virus here or, you experience a few too many high stress years at work there.
You eat a bit too much processed food.
Right. And eventually the body just it gives out under the sheer weight of all those accidental bumps and bruises.
Yeah, we definitely treat it like a failure of an otherwise perfect system. Like, barring any of those unfortunate random events, we could just keep coasting along indefinitely.
But then you dive into the actual source material for today. We've been going through these fascinating excerpts from a text called The Biological Architecture of Human Longevity.
And it really changes how you look at things.
It does, because when you look at the real cellular mechanics detailed in these pages, that entire bad luck theory completely falls apart. You realize our bodies are simply not built to last forever.
No, they really aren't designed for immortality. There is a hard, programmed biological ceiling.
It's wild. Okay, let's unpack this, because uncovering the mechanics of that limit is our mission for you today. We want to answer one incredibly fundamental question.
Why is human life naturally capped at around 120 years?
Exactly. And to do that, we're going to translate some seriously complex cellular biology into plain, simple English.
No dense academic jargon today. Just the mechanics of our own mortality.
Yeah, but to understand how we age on a microscopic level, we first have to, zoom way out. We need to look at why we age from a massive evolutionary perspective.
Right. And the source material makes a very compelling, if somewhat unsentimental point about evolution.
Unsentimental is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Evolution operates with one primary overriding goal, which is the continuation of the species. It really only cares about survival long enough for you to successfully pass on your genetic material.
So once you've reproduced and raised those offspring to self-sufficiency, evolution effectively considers the job done.
Exactly. From a purely evolutionary standpoint, the body becomes disposable.
Disposable? Calling the human body disposable feels a bit harsh.
It does, but the text calls it the disposable soma concept.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Let's think about it like a manufacturer's warranty on a household appliance.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Nature basically gives you a warranty that lasts just long enough for you to raise your kids. But once you've passed on your genes, it's like the warranty expires.
Yeah, the manufacturer stops caring.
Exactly. They stop sending software updates, and they just let our hardware degrade because we've already done what we were built to do.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you really have to look at the brutal efficiency of nature here. Maintaining a human body requires a staggering amount of metabolic energy.
Right. You have billions of cells constantly working.
Constantly. They need DNA repair, waste removal, nutrient delivery, and nature operates in a strict zero-sum economy.
So eternal maintenance is just a waste of energy.
Exactly. Investing all that precious energy into keeping an organism in perfect condition after it's already reproduced is just a terrible return on investment for evolution.
Okay, so if evolution is the reason our warranty expires, what is the actual mechanism inside us that enforces that expiration date?
We have to move from the big conceptual picture down to the microscopic level.
Right, because there has to be a physical timer inside of us.
Oh.
And the sources point to something called the Hayflick Limit.
Yes, the Hayflick Limit. It's probably the most crucial concept in the biology of aging.
And this is about cellular expiration, right?
Exactly. It proves that human cells cannot divide and replicate infinitely. If you put a human cell in a petri dish with perfect nutrients, it still only divides a finite number of times.
Wait, really? Even in perfect conditions?
Yep, usually around 40 to 60 divisions, and then it just permanently stops.
Wow. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the mechanism tracking that countdown is tracked by these things called telomeres.
Right, which sit at the very tips of our chromosomes.
Yeah, and to visualize this, I like to think of telomeres like the little plastic caps at the end of your shoelaces, the aglets.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so imagine your DNA is the shoelace. Every time your cell divides to replace damaged tissue, that little plastic tip wears down just a tiny bit.
Right, it gets a little shorter every single time.
Exactly. And eventually, after 40 or 50 divisions, the plastic cap is completely gone. And what happens? the shoelace starts to fray, and the cell just stops working properly.
And what's fascinating here is these cells don't just peacefully go to sleep when that happens. It's a process of active degradation.
Wait, they don't just die off.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
When they hit that Hayflick limit and the shoelace frays, they enter a state called cellular senescence. The sources actually refer to them as zombie cells.
Zombie cells? That sounds terrifying.
It is a bit scary because they can't divide anymore, but they refuse to die. They just sit there in your tissues, actively causing problems.
By releasing toxins, right?
Exactly. Because their DNA is exposed, they panic and start spewing out highly toxic inflammatory chemicals into the surrounding area.
So they're actively corrupting the healthy cells around them.
Yeah, they create chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout the entire body. And this directly causes the major diseases we associate with getting older.
Like cancer and heart disease.
Exactly. The tissue environment degrades, opening the door for cancer, plaque buildup, and even cognitive decline.
Okay, so we've looked at the microscopic fraying of our cells. But how does that translate to the everyday aches, pains, and, the system failures we actually feel as we age?
Right. We have to zoom out from the DNA to the whole body.
Yeah, because I don't feel my telomeres shortening. I feel my knees aching. Let's compare the human body to a beloved vintage car.
Okay, I can see where you're going with this.
Like, you can do all the maintenance you want. You can change the oil, polish the exterior, but eventually the structural integrity of the chassis just weakens.
Right, it's inevitable.
The gears just grind down from decades of friction. Things inevitably wear out.
Yeah, it's basic biological wear and tear. Just like machinery, everything in the body eventually loses its efficiency.
So those microscopic telomeres shortening directly result in this macroscopic car breakdown.
Exactly. When enough individual cells in an organ become those toxic zombie cells, the entire organ starts to fail. Your blood vessels become stiffer.
Oh, right. The sources mention that. The tissues literally lose their elasticity over decades.
Yep. The immune system weakens too because the body's repair mechanisms just can't keep up with the accumulated damage anymore.
It's just losing the battle against rust and friction.
Precisely. The stem cells, the repair crews for the car, are also bound by that Hayflick limit. They run out of divisions too.
Okay, but this brings up a huge question. If our cells have this strict division limit and our organs inevitably wear out like old machinery, how on earth do some people live to 100?
Or even push toward that 120-year absolute limit.
Right. Wait, so is reaching 100 less about drinking green juice and doing yoga and more about just winning the genetic lottery?
This raises an important question about the balance of luck and biology. Because reaching the century mark isn't just about healthy habits.
It's not.
No. Lifestyle matters, of course, but genetics and the environment are the biggest factors by far. The centenarians often inherit specific gene variants.
The sources single out the APOE-E2 variant, right?
Yes, the APOE-E2 variant. It acts almost like a biological superpower.
A superpower? How so?
Well, it protects against cardiovascular disease by hyper-efficiently clearing out cholesterol, but it also supports incredibly robust DNA repair.
Oh, wow. So they literally have a biologically superior repair crew working inside their cells.
Exactly. Their telomeres still shorten, but their internal repair mechanisms are just far more efficient at dealing with the damage, which delays that inevitable machinery breakdown.
So they just inherited better parts for their vintage car.
Pretty much. They withstand the post-warranty period with much greater resilience.
That is wild. I think it's incredibly clarifying. So for you listening, let's pull all these threads together.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. We started with why human life is naturally capped at 120 years. And it's a mix of 4 distinct things. First, evolutionary design nature prioritizing reproduction over eternal maintenance.
Right, the expired warranty.
Second, those cellular timers, the shortening telomeres that eventually turn our cells into toxic zombies.
The Hayflick limit.
Third, the physical wear and tear, the fact that our organs just inevitably wear down like a vintage car. And finally, genetic luck.
Yeah, inheriting those superior repair crews like the APOE-E2 variant.
Understanding this really allows you to view your own biology not as something failing you, but as a machine operating exactly as nature programmed it to.
It's actually a very empowering way to look at getting older. It's just biology doing exactly what it was designed to do.
It totally is. But as we wrap up, there is one final lingering question based on the text that I really want you to ponder on your own.
Oh, what is it?
Well, if our bodies are biologically programmed by evolution to be disposable once our reproductive and child-rearing years are over.
Which we now know is the case.
Right. What does it say about the human experience that we spend so much of our lives and our modern medicine fighting to make those exact post-reproductive, disposable years the most fulfilling decades of our lives?
That is a fascinating thought.
Isn't it? It's like we are actively rebelling against our own biology. We demand meaning long after nature stops caring. Think about that the next time you feel a little wear and tear in your knees. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Sure.